I like this song. Be not afraid if you can't see the presence of the divine within the experience, and know that that energy is right there with you, leading the way. Then there's no need to be afraid, and that's what basic trust is about. It's about that antidote to fear. It's that antidote to worry. It's that antidote to anxiety. And what I know is that in my life, Linda's right, basic trust has to be the foundation of my own spiritual practice and my own walk in the world. Some of you know I haven't been in town, so to speak, for the last several weeks because I've been supporting one of my sisters in a very difficult situation. And let me tell you, I have had a course in Basic Trust 101 for the last couple of weeks, and so has she. And we've done a lot of work. And so this talk actually is perfect for me today, because when we get up here on the platform, Linda and I have made a promise to ourselves and to you that we won't talk about anything that we can't live. We won't talk about anything that we don't know about. So today I'm talking about something that I live and I know about, and it doesn't always show up really well for me, but it is the foundation of my spiritual practice. So as I think about this idea of divine compensation as it relates to basic trust, for me, what it's about is the sacred holy reward of peace, of tranquility, of a sense of well-being, of a sense of loving the life I'm living right now within the experience, no matter what's going on. And let me tell you, and I wasn't kidding, I could write a book after the last couple of weeks. It can get very complicated. It can get scary. It can get weird. It can get very strange. But when we have the capacity to stay centered and kind of fall back on this idea of basic trust in the universe to support the process, this essential aspect, this quality of the divine, then it helps us transcend that fear-based experiential way of being in the world, see? We can be present in a different way. So what is basic trust? Well, my greatest teacher for basic trust is A.H. Alma's, always has been, probably always will be, Facets of Unity. And he has an entire chapter in here called Basic Trust. This is my Bible. And this is what Alma says about basic trust. He says, basic trust is an unspoken, inherent trust that whatever happens will ultimately be fine. That what happens is the best that can happen. It's concrete confidence in the goodness of the universe. An unquestioned trust that there's something about the universe and human nature and life that is fundamentally good, loving, and wishing us the best. This essential trust in life manifests as a willingness to take a plunge into the abyss. See, we have to be willing to step into the icky, dark places and know we're going to be okay. Know that we're going to be all right. So that we have some degree of assurance when we're in those places that we're going to be okay. Right now, not in the afterlife, not in the pearly gates of heaven, but right now, right this minute, in this experience, however it shows up. My sister, a couple of weeks ago, was in desperate fear. She called one of my sisters who has a religious tradition of fundamentalism, and she said, I am terrified, I'm scared to death, and she was crying. Don't hear me criticize anybody's spiritual tradition, please, but I want you to hear the difference. My sister, who follows a very fundamental path, said, don't worry. Remember, there's the kingdom. There's a better place. And my sister said, that's not helpful right now. That's not what I want to hear. You might be right, but right now I am terrified. So then big sister shows, in every way, I am the big sister, shows up. We're going to trust the process. We're going to have basic trust that this ugly thing is going to turn out okay. Not in the kingdom, but right now, today, somehow, in this experience, you're going to be okay, and I'm going to help you remember who you are, and that there's something greater supporting this, even though it looks scary. Because what I know for myself and for people that I love, if we don't have basic trust that we're going to get through it, whatever it is, we can't function. You know how that is? We get paralyzed. All we want to do is go to bed and cover our heads up and just forget the whole darn thing. And what I want to tell you is every one of us, even if you think you don't have a lot of trust, you do. You do. Do you trust your body? Do you trust your heart to beat itself? Do you trust your breath to come and go? Do you trust that when you go to sleep at night, you're going to wake up in the morning? We all have a certain degree of basic trust, whether we know it or not. We take it for granted, don't we? And that's what my invitation is today. We get to that place where we take for granted that the universe is supporting us. That's why I picked this image. That there's this benevolence all around that's here to guide us. Now, this is the deal. Does it always look the way we want it to? Probably not. Is it going to be our idea of the perfect outcome? Maybe not. Maybe so, but maybe not. See, we have to take for granted. I'm pretty darn sure that I'm not going to fall off the face of the earth today because I have basic trust in gravity. You see what I'm saying? So when we can expand that into this unpredictable world experience that we've all entered into as human beings and hold this basic trust in the moment of whatever is going on, then we move away from those scared, tense, experiences that have us so frightened, where we feel abandoned, where we feel alone, where we feel forgotten, where we feel like, there's nothing out there that's going to help us along the way. Because if we can't have basic trust, we're going to fall into fear every time. Every single time. And this is what I know. We cannot hold fear and trust at the same time. Can't do it both. We're either in fear or we're trusting. It's that simple. So this willingness to take a plunge into the unknown, to step into that field of energy that might feel a little uncomfortable, doesn't necessarily need to feel okay, but we have to be willing to embrace it, to meet it head on. If you have to be a 12-step person, let go and let God. Admit that there's a power greater than, this human self that's going to move us through this thing, that's going to show us something that'll move us into that place where we can find that peace. Now, does it always happen quickly? No. It's a process. It's a process. It's a huge spiritual process. It's a practice. But it requires us to constantly remember. I like another thing that Alma says. He says, this basic trust is an inner attitude. And it respects that whatever happens, no matter what it is nothing more or less than the curriculum of the universe. So David, go to the next image for me. I picked this image because in working with my sister the last couple of weeks in this situation that she's got going, and it's very painful and complicated, I'm telling her, look, you're in the cocoon right now. You are liquefied. You're gooey. You're sticky, yucky. Everything's a mess. Everything's a mess right now. You crawled along as a caterpillar. You got to this place. Now you're hanging in a chrysalis, and I'm here to protect you while that's happening, and I'm here to show you that it's okay, but inside that cocoon right now, you're a mess. You're not making sense out of things, and we're going to start working to unravel that, to put this back together. When a caterpillar's in there, all the essential pieces of the butterfly are there. Caterpillar's there too. And it's busy rearranging itself. It's busy reconstituting itself in a new form. This is what we have to do sometimes. We have to reform who we show up as in the world so that we're not totally overcome with the stuff that got us into that place in the first place. Am I making sense? I hope. So, you see, and it's going to take a while, because it takes a while for that caterpillar to stop being all gooey so that it's got wings. And by the way, when it starts to break out of that chrysalis, it's work. It's work. It takes a long time. And if the butterfly is helped prematurely to get out of that chrysalis, guess what? It's not strong enough to fly. You've got to have basic trust that you're going to make it out of that thing, so that when you're able to make your wings work, you're going to have them all filled with whatever juice, butterfly juice it needs, so that you can take off and soar. This is the deal. This is the deal. There's a process in getting to our wholeness, into healing, into who we really are. But in the meantime, sometimes we're just mush. And we got to trust that when that stage is where we are, that we're going to get through it. And it shows up for all of us in a different way. It could be health, it could be finances, could be relationships, could be employment, could be whatever. It's really hard to remember basic trust when you're right in the middle of a big crisis and you've got armed guards and you're scared to death. It's hard to remember who you are. But we got to hang in there. We got to trust the outcome. We got to know that we are okay and we're going to be okay. That's the way the universe works. That we bring forth this inner basic trust, you see, so that we have this unquestioned sense of safety in our walk in the world. That the world will take care of us, that the universe will take care of us. And that the circumstances around us can't disrupt that calm peace of our soul. Because when our soul is disrupted and we're all fragmented and we're shattered from the inside out, it's very hard to love the life we're living, isn't it? Very hard. How do you do it? How do you be it? Well, good old Eckhart Tolle suggestion. It requires acceptance of things as they are. And it requires us, like Glenda says, we got to pray and move our feet. We got to know the truth. We got to know the universe is there to support us. We've got to have basic trust that everything's going to work out okay. But does that mean we just sit back and wait for the universe to do it? We do our part. We take whatever the next indicated step is to do our part. We work together to co-create the experience with the divine. We open to guidance. Oh, I got to tell you something. Over the last 2 weeks, I did things I did not know how to do. A whole bunch of stuff. I had no idea how to do what I did. But I want to tell you, I had basic trust that if I opened to guidance and said, show me how to do this, I have no idea what we need to do next, that it would come. And it did. And it did. Was some things were a struggle? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But do your part. And every single one of us gets to think, we get to speak, we get to take care of each other, we get to take action. We can be authentic and engage in life wholeheartedly. See, when we're in fear, when we're not trusting this whole thing, guess what? It's really hard. It's much easier to stand on the sidelines and watch. It's not so easy to step in and wholeheartedly engage and embrace the experience. For me, the payoff, the divine payoff for this, the compensation that we're talking about, for this basic trust, you know what it is? It's ease. It's freedom. It's a sense of relaxation. It's learning to experience life as something that we can manage. Life is not out of control. That life is a manageable thing that we don't have to struggle with. That our soul is at peace with life itself. This is what I'm hoping for my sister. I'm hoping that the divine compensation that comes her way after this cocoon experience for her is the payoff will be freedom, peace of mind, a willingness to see life as something that she can manage and move through in a beautiful, graceful way. So here's your invitation. Remember, if you're not having basic trust that the universe is supporting you on your journey, you are probably in fear in one way or another. And in order to transcend those fear places, you must learn to trust the universe. Pray and take action. Move your feet. Gotta move your feet. Do your part. And this is the essential thing. You are, and you will be okay, no matter what. Because, as the lyrics of that song say, when you know, when you see the face of God, when you know that the energy of His divine presence, whatever you choose to call it, is right there with you, going before you, all around you, within you, behind you, then there's no reason to be afraid. Thank you.